now,
All right.
and this is again with Matt, and we are looking at his goodies. Um, so we're gonna call this, I don't know, scene breakdown, maybe
Yeah,
crit.
fixing scenes, fixing a mess.
I don't know if it's a mess. I mean, I was actually really excited when I saw it. I was really excited when I saw the 3D. So here is the 3D stuff. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. We don't need it so big. But I realized for myself I should also probably be keeping like notes or labeling things now, so that I can easily know what it is I'm looking at. So here's all the 3D stuff that you were doing, and I didn't actually have any part of this, so he, as in Matt, you took this and did these scenes with it. So talk to me about what's bothering you, what's troubling you.
Um, well, yeah, you're gonna pull up the yeah. So these guys, when I was working on it, I kept just being kind of forced to the shapes that I made. Just no, I knew they were basic
Yeah,
shapes from
but
the
you're being
start.
stuck with them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew I was gonna run into that issue because that's something I've always struggled with.
Yep.
And so I started filling it in, and I was like, "All right, there's roots," and then it's kinda just, a bunch of roots everywhere,
Mm.
and then I didn't really know what to do much for the other stuff. Like, I have a couple things going on, but then I just figured,
Kind of
I'd
things.
listen to your advice to break some pieces off and try to just think about them differently, but,
Yep.
um, yeah, I didn't kinda do it like a deep dive into any one thing. I just
Okay.
kinda touched on a couple things just to keep my mind interested in what I was doing.
And then
Um,
I'm gonna touch on that, but I want you to just finish telling me about everything that you got here. And now I'm looking at your design page now. Um, talk to me about what some of your thoughts are with this.
well, so the number 1 was gonna be like the main entrance fountain,
Mm.
kinda just like just an idea of it, and it doesn't look too great, but they had the just kinda like the bird bath water collectors, and I
Mm.
wanted to have the idea of the roots, the roots that they shape and kinda they'd be holding up all these, awesome, bowls and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
just kinda have I'm thinking about the sound of it because I really want it to be like a quiet, eerie kinda thing with the
Mm.
dripping, so the more drips, the better, and, that's just a fun way to fill up that space in the front. Um, I don't know if it was gonna pour down the front stairs or what it was gonna do after it. Maybe it would just collect there and they could seep it or, take it out from there, but the roots are always gonna be grown in the water like we were talking
I
about.
like that. Yep.
Number 2, I just knew that it needed something more. I didn't spend too much time on that one just because that pillar, the main was it the dais? I always mix up that word, I don't know.
It's good. Don't worry.
But yeah, I knew it needed something, so I just wanted hanging pots or roots growing around. I do like the idea of, the pottery on the bottom. I don't think I show it here, it might be in one of my other scenes that I kinda do little scribbles, but, to have all the vines growing out of the pots on the base and then wrapping up
Mm-hmm.
just to, have it overgrown. 3, I was just messing with some pillar designs. Um, Not much to those. I just kinda looked up some Aztec pillars, and then I was like, "Oh, well, they like,
Before you go on, you are looking at pillar designs and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then, I just was trying to think of something sort of fun, like, these guys will like throwing heads on everything,
Mm.
so why not have this guy and then have it look like it's sorta like the hanging pots are sort of his arms. I don't know if that looks goofy or not. Just kinda wanna do a couple of them just to have a starting point when we jump into it. 4 was gonna be just kind of like little statues around. The first one looks a little bit cartoony, but, they both kinda look cartoony, but, just wanted to have some idea of starting point
Mm-hmm.
for filling in the, kinda just the blocks that I have sitting in my other scene.
Yeah.
And then, the 5th one is just some ideas of the nobles you'd see there. And like we were talking about the kind of the level up system with, A being the
Hmm.
lowest rung guy. I mean, he still has like robes on, but maybe the longer the robes, the better. Not even though they get pretty full length pretty quick. But then the F being kind of like my idea for the king,
Okay.
sort of priest like, and I incorporated those that cool what is it called? There's like a coat hanger or whatever. The the jacket hanger that one dude designed.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
But using that as like his shoulder. I don't really know. I was just kind of looking up some attire of that time
Okay.
in like Japanese stuff, and
Okay. So I
yeah,
think I
other than
think I know
that,
where to. I think I know where to jump in. Um, so off the bat, we're just gonna start here, and let me just make a group, and we'll drop the scene in there. We'll call this scene, and I think something because we talked about it. Definitely a weakness, and that's fine. Sticking to the basic shapes, and you designed it in 3D with basic shapes, and that works. But then sticking to them, that's where it's gonna be more painful. I would say if we're looking at this here, I'm gonna zoom in, and I don't know what number this one is. Um,
oh, did all my numbers get lost? Oh, bummer.
yeah,
Want
no,
me to
it
send
did.
you
No, no,
an
it's
updated?
all right. It's all right. Because you could see what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could try to I'll try this one more time. I'll turn on screen share, or are you looking on your TV?
I'm looking on my TV, but if you
I mean,
try
I
it,
just want you to. I don't want there to be confusion for you.
Discord is
Still no. Okay.
still messing up.
All right, that's cool. That's fine. So first off, we had some really great shapes for the pyramid itself. Um, and I think when we broke that mold a bit of sticking to just purely basic step pyramid, that's when it really started to shine for you in terms of doing some design work. Uh,
Mm,
I think that you should have that up because that's going to define the shapes for the rest of everything.
right.
I'm talking like spirit gates. I'm talking like because the spirit gates were shapes like this, right? And then you have the step pyramid shapes. Whoops. Um, I mean, you get what I'm talking about. Just
Yeah.
we're just gonna stick with those. So in this scene, what would I do? I would say to break away from this, it's roots, it's natural. You can do whatever you want with it. Why not have it come up like this and make the shape like way stronger, and then have it actually like stonework of some kind?
Mm,
And the roots are growing along the stones, but there's enough stonework underneath of it that you can see some of it. Um, so actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just whoa, I'm gonna go ahead and just draw in black over it, just to like play with the shape of things. Um, so it's not just lines. Maybe that will be helpful. Um, so let me go and just put that back the way it was. Okay. So coming in, maybe I'll use dark gray so it's not so. You could play with shapes like this because now we're creating really strong silhouettes that are not just a cylinder. Or like because this is an inverted step pyramid. Let's say we don't want to invert the step pyramid. What if this is like the step pyramid and it comes down? So what that would look like here is it comes out. And it comes out. So this whole section then has like an interesting look to it, right?
mm, yeah.
Okay, so like already that's like how can we want it to make we don't just want to break the cylinder for like making it different. We want it to be different in a way that makes sense to the rest of the designs.
Hmm.
Personally, I like the idea of the inverted pyramid because it's not just a pyramid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and you could have the vines growing down it and hanging off of it, but it is still very much um, visible stone and vines growing off of it. And maybe just like a T. So where's another example of that shot? Oh, here you go. So maybe it's like this, and then coming in like that. So there's like, you could see the underside of it, and then here, if we're coming across, it's like up, like that. Comes
And then
over.
it does push the focus more to the king. So
That's right. It's like an air.
it's
It's basically
pretty
making an
all
arrow.
around. Yeah.
Everyone, look at me. Um, so like down here, it would be something like this is just
Yeah. That's
one idea. So what I would like for you to do, again, if you want to, because this is your project, you could do whatever you'd like. I would like for you to try some of these again with your sketches, and you could have like this scene maybe 2 or 3 times, copy and paste it, and just try different shapes, bigger shapes. Um, and this does not just have to be the throne, because what we're going to end up doing is saying, oh, this works, this one is great, let's take that and do like what you did with your page and do some of those. Um, so that would be my thought for using a step pyramid theme. I'm going to go ahead and just save this as a JPEG real quick because I'm going to erase it or move on, and I don't want to lose that image in case you want to reference it later. So we're going to call this I don't even know. How about 0708 since that's the date. Scene crit 01. Okay. Great. Okay. So moving on to another idea, right? Because we can't just have one. Something else that you could do is to make it a spirit gate.
Mhm.
So maybe you have all the vines coming down, all wiggly, and then there's a gap with a pillar. And this is the only pillar in the room that is perfectly straight, up and down, like your basic 3D shapes. And off of that is a whole thing that is the spirit gate. Like one giant spirit gate, which would be like this here, and it would be like this here. And then looking at it in this shot, it would be like over or like next to this part, coming off of it. And all this does is act as a frame to the king. So then you would have, again, the underside of it and the front side of it. So the underside will make lighter in color, and the front will make dark. And we'll just erase it, clean it up a little. And then this part is not seen. And you could have vines growing around that, but there's no reason why we can't shape the vines. And then you could also do that same thought of like coming off the throne thing and coming around the throne, just framing in the king. So what that idea would look like up here would be something like, oh, I guess we could leave that. Coming down here on this one.
Yeah, that's cool.
This idea is it's around the sides of it, and then these parts, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. It's like further back in space, is my thought. These parts have a piece coming out. Like a spirit gate is going through these roots. We've lost sight of that. Because the center pillar or whatever, or it's like a detached spirit gate. Like we've taken it and we've broken it in half and then slid it across. And then like a smaller one that is, I'll use black, I guess. A smaller one that is around the throne itself. And the vines can be growing through this. And again, it's as much or as little as you want to be. How much influence is just purely, it's just a Japanese spirit gate. I think that what this will do doing something like this, or doing something like the step pyramid, or doing both. You can combine both ideas. This gives it a tie-in to the outside of the temple.
Yeah, right.
We want to keep that design language as much as we can. So that would be my idea for not the throne itself, but like that center pillar, just to break it up. And I think this shot here is a great view to do that in, because then you could easily just take that line here and then have it come down and across. If you want to play with that, like that there. This might seem dumb, and it might seem redundant, because I'm making you do the same shit that we already did for the outside of the temple, and it's like I just want to draw, I just want to get something done. But the reason why I'm pushing for the exploration and the playing so hard is I feel like it worked really well for the exterior.
Yeah, for sure.
And now we need to do it for the interior, especially if you're like, I don't know what the fuck to draw, and I'm at a loss. Okay, so moving on from that, let's look at some other part pillars. I'm going to come up to, I'm going to close out this scene. Let me go and save this one out as well, because I will forget, and I don't want to be a bad Brandon. Get punished later. Okay, there we go. Save that one out. Great. And let's go ahead and move over to some of these, because I think I'm not going to tell you like everything to do, but I am going to give you some ideas here with this too. So we'll call this designs. I think is a fine name. Looking at some of this, I'm going to actually just take a couple pieces here and make them larger, so I can work on them a bit more aggressively. So I don't actually know if this is Japanese or not, but this doesn't specifically feel Japanese or Aztec. It just feels like a standard pillar.
Right. I guess most of it was in their like the designs and stuff on there that I kind of was like, oh yeah, I'll just throw some designs once I figure it out.
And that's fine. But I think at the end, what I mean is it just feels like some of the thoughts, but not like I'm talking this part of the pillar, this part, or this thing here. If the pillar is just black, shadowed like the silhouette of it, that doesn't feel spectacularly Japanese or Aztec, and it doesn't have to. I just feel like sometimes it's really good to use it as a crutch. One idea that I have is if we're going to do this thing where he's using his arms, I like it. But if you're going to do it, then you have to do it. You can't just play with the idea of him doing it. And I'm talking like if we come in and it's like robed, and he's got
the big danglers,
right, and he's holding it. Maybe he's holding like a staff, which feels almost like he's doing like a pull-up or something. And off the staff is those danglers. Edit, transform, flip horizontal. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not the biggest fan of that, to be honest. So, like, that one doesn't work for me. And that's fine, because that's all part of the process. But if we come in and we say, okay, so him holding it straight up maybe would work if it was different. I don't know. We could keep trying, but let's say we want to have a different idea. If instead he's like, if his robe's like this, and he's got his hands out and he's holding a bar across, and maybe this bar is like a special like Japanese like styled Buddhist monk staff, because they have some and they have rings. That's right. There's like rings on it, like little chime rings. Do you know what I'm talking about? I will show you. Monk ring staff, because I'm positive that it exists, and it does. Right, here's some stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Right, I mean, like, so it goes like ching, ching, it chimes and stuff.
Yep.
Maybe he's holding that. Maybe he's holding two of those. And off of these rings are your planter bits or your water bits or whatever. And that is kind of cooler to me. I mean, like, yeah, okay, cool. I could live with that. If you have to have a person holding it, I think there's no reason why. Okay, hold on. God damn it. I think there's no reason why it should have to be simplified. If they can carve a face and they can carve robes on a piece of statuary, then I think it's possible for them to carve the hands and everything else. If it's going to be abstract, it has. This is just my opinion. If it's going to be abstract, it has to be abstract. If it's going to be detailed, then it's going to be detailed.
Gotcha.
I don't think we should play with anything in between. Like, if it's going to be like this, then, like, okay, so here's an idea. If you want this to be representative of, like, arms and hands, then I would say it would behoove us to instead make... This isn't going to look like arms or hands. It's going to look like horns, I realized in my mind. But instead it would be like... Right, like some kind of... Almost like a totem pole is my mind. But this is not Aztec, this is not Japanese. But
right.
I'm just saying, like, an abstract, like, face. Abstract to abstract, detailed to detailed. If we're going to combine the two, it's fine. It just doesn't always work.
Gotcha, yeah.
I'm going to actually just... I'm just going to Google. And I'm going to say... Japanese pila! That's actually not a word, sir. Oh my god, it's a thing. Okay. Japanese pillar. Well, that's cool. Pillar clock. It's neat. Okay. Look at that. That is a thing. I'm going to just copy this image and I'm going to paste it here. And let's look for a couple more things that we can use. Boop. Boop. I mean, that's fucking... Wait, hold a tit. Click that view more. What did I see? Oh, nothing cool. Actually dumb. I feel sad for having clicked that. Got me. What else do we have? That's kind of neat. Traditional cylinder pillar, Japan. Okay. So if we're going to be doing the design portion of it, then I want to make sure I have plenty of references that show some aspect of what I'm trying to design to help break those shapes and choose something other than... What the fuck? Choose something other than just the basic design language that that we're using from the 3D background. I don't want to, like, I would like to pick this, but I don't want to, I keep passing it because I don't want to choose it, but I will just choose one. The shrine pillars. Okay. And that's if we're going Japanese, so, like, let's go ahead and take a second to do Aztec. What comes up? What comes up that we can use? This, actually, look at that. So, there you go. Matt, that actually looks pretty similar to this, so you got me. I didn't fucking know it, but those are similar enough. But this, that's cool. And let's see what else exists. So I'm just choosing some, and I'll explain my choices in a sec. Oh. Yes.
Oh, those are cool.
Yep. I'll fucking take that. I'll explain maybe some of my choices in a minute. Really, I'm just looking to see what... This is not real. But that's... Is that really a Mayan pyramid? Yeah, I guess it kind of is. Mayan pillar, excuse me. This is what someone has done themselves. The decoration will help it too, but we're not there yet. Oh, those faces like that. I love these. Let's copy that and only take the face. if you want to sell it as Aztec, this is pretty typical Aztec design that I enjoy, or Mayan design. If I'm wrong with the culture, forgive me with that, because it doesn't matter. It's all just South America. I mean, like that's fucking true. It's just South American shit. Like I don't know what you want from me. Um, the average viewer won't know the difference. They'll just call it all Mayan or all Aztec. So it doesn't matter for us necessarily either, unless we're trying to make a point by picking something different. Then it matters. But right now, from a modern cultural view, it's all kind of in movies and games and stuff. A lot of it falls underneath the same. That's enough time looking. Falls under the same umbrella. So that's like saying. I mean, I guess actually, if you really want to make that point, you can. So excuse me for being out of line. So if we're gonna look at these as the basis of our designs, I'm going to close this off real quick. What I'm seeing here is like this one has a base which works because this is like a step pyramid. I'm actually only going to design half of it because duh, Brandon. It's got one of those, then it's got something like this and up. Okay. Let's flip that. That is, for sake of this video and for sake of my understanding, actually, that's fine. Like, I'm actually cool with that. Now, if we're going to say, like, this is it, this is our pillar system, what can we combine from the other cultures that will make it more, I don't know, understandable, I guess? Maybe if we take this section, this lantern section, and let's raise it up. And then down here, let's go ahead and do like this. Make my brush a little smaller. They just have like blocks. And this is not 100% accurate here, but that's okay. Come in, raise you up a little more, or actually, how would I leave you down? That's kind of cool. So I'm not explaining myself enough right now. I'm just playing.
Yeah, you're fine. I get it.
I'm just playing with what I'm seeing for some of these pillars and stuff. And then it has like a thing like this, like a round thing that comes off of a square. Okay, so this is just as fucking mashed together two different things as I can for a basic sketch. And if we take that and put it together, bring it down, really what we're trying to do is get 2 or 3 of these that are different enough. So if we get 2 or 3 that are completely different designs, like maybe you do one like this, or whatever, 2 or 3 different pillar designs, kind of like what you had, but
Different.
Yeah. more of like all, like, break it up. Pillars are hard because they just hold up the ceiling, and it's so easy for us to just do round pillars, or to do pillars like basically Caucasian Roman pillars.
Yeah.
I mean, the Greco or the round, like, because we understand that, and you and I and fantasy games, we've spent so much time looking at that, like Western society has spent so much time looking at that something like this is more like, what? Wait, what? Like, for me. If that's not for you, cool. Good job being Matt. But for me, it's like, it's fucking hard to, like, wrap my head around how this is a thing. But then what we can do is we can come in on this, and because it's important, we can spend a little more time kind of doing something like this. It's not quite. It's it's up and down. Okay. And down here, what if we reinforce this pillar with this metal stuff that they got, and then add some more of the step pyramid-y elements to it. And this we can open up maybe a little bit more, and I like that a lot. So I'm going to just make that square. The level of detail is not the most important thing right now. Just getting some of the elements that are important on here. And I'm going to just take this and let's just go ahead without really like doing too much of anything else and just put it here. And where's a scene? This is a good scene. Let's see if this is something that will work. I don't know. I think the noses are weird. I think that's a little too weird for me in terms of like the face too. Maybe the noses aren't a thing. But that isn't terrible. And it feels kind of cool with that. It's just more like it's got a lot of like a little bit of everything that we just looked at. Maybe if we look at it again and say, well, it's a cool idea, but maybe it doesn't really work for that. That's fine. Because we can come back and we could do it again. And that it has like a mishmash hodgepodge of everything. If instead we come in and say, well, let's just focus really hard on a couple of the elements that are going to work. Like really make it basic in terms of what this is. And this is a giant pillar. So like a person is like this big maybe. And if we're going to do that, perhaps down here on the edges is one of these. Like maybe the scale for the other one was too small when I look at the actual image. And instead if we play with something that's smaller and then use this thing here.
Sick.
Because this is a different material, we can come in and just like for 40 or something.
Pillars are doubling as little shrines, which is super
Yeah,
dope.
I mean, that's cool. And then if we go back to our original page that had those little faces on it, maybe here there's little heads like grouped around them. And what else do they have here? So maybe if we say that this is our pillar, Let me say, oh wow, that's maybe that's better. I don't know. It's cool. Um, we could drop it into the scene, see how that's actually matching up, and say, well, does that fit with the other one with the stuff that we were thinking for the temple or whatever. Um, what else can we do to kind of add in some of those elements? Maybe like whoopsie, a whoopsie doodle. Maybe we can come in and what else do they have? Do some kind of like face on them, and there's no reason why we couldn't have a really fancy Japanese that's not some kind of maybe the rings. And we could come in and do something up here. Like maybe this is whatever that symbol is. I mean, that's like this kind of just looks like a flower, I guess. But like circular, like a circular flower. Okay. And that doesn't really feel Japanesey. It also doesn't really feel Aztec-y, so we'll get rid of that. Mm. Really kind of a benevolent face. If we take that and flip it, does that seem interesting? Oops. Go. Hey, stop it. Stop it. It almost feels like tiki-ish, like I'm doing something wrong with that. Something about it to make it more Aztec, more Japanese. It's weird though, I don't know. That doesn't really work for me. This actually works out pretty okay. Maybe there's enough to look at without that. And we just take it and pop it back in the scene, and then we go back and forth. So when we're actually like designing the things, that would be how I would work, and that would be after I already select, like draw over some of the scenes with a broader mind over what that looks like. Looking at the stuff that you designed, otherwise, because there is some pretty good stuff here. Pillar-wise, the idea of it being a person on the pillar, I'm super down with. Just the arms need to be like up higher or down lower. Maybe his hands are down here holding the lanterns. This is fine because the faces feel Japanese, so I wouldn't actually worry about that. This is fun. I think that the body or the tail could be more, or it's just a serpent, right? Like there's no legs on it, no hands, just like the body's a serpent on there. This is great. This level's like level 1 through 7 or whatever, level 1 through 6. I think that's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even do anything. The only thing I would say is, yeah, no, I mean, like, it's fun. The only thing I would say is, like, more. What you can do is,
Super King.
yeah, Super King. No, I mean,
The Giga Dynamax. Do you see that bullshit? The Giga
yeah,
Dynamax.
yeah.
Or whatever, that Gigantic Dynamax.
What'd you call me? Yeah. I think that, actually, this could be, what I would do is this. If this is like your base idea, depending on if characters are not that important in terms of like the scenes, and then this is enough. However, if you want to spend time doing characters, then what I would recommend is coming in and selecting like this. Okay, and actually, I'm going to just go ahead and do the same thing I just did for the pillars. And if we just duplicate this and bring it around town. Do that. And then get rid of these stupid lines now. What I would say is, if this is the original here, this would be like idea 1. This works for me. What you would do is look, if we're only looking at the king, or if it's even easier, if we're only looking at like this one at E, you could say, okay, so to get to level E, what I'm saying is different is he's got a hat, he's got something in his hand, he's got fancier robes, and some kind of design on the groin. So what you would do is then come over here and do a theme. Like if we're going to say, ooh, the theme is step pyramids. You come in and get rid of those important elements. The basic shape will be the same. The basic elements are going to be the same. But then you come in and say, well, what if he's got a thing on his head like that? And what if the shape here is instead maybe like one of those Japanese, kind of like these fans, with like a symbol on it? And he's got like hair or something, talisman, bottom of it, I don't know. And then his robe is instead like a step design too. Okay, and so then it was like, oh, okay, that's option 2. Okay, great. How would this look over on this guy? How would it look on this guy? How would it look on this guy? Maybe to do a variation of your peasant. I always like doing people like naked. It makes sense to me. Like peasants and stuff. Like, so here's like, he's got his little knees, and then he's got his right. I think it's cool if you have a character that has like a wrap here. And there's his thighs, and then instead he has like clothes around the back end of him, but the front is like open. So maybe just to make this a little more obvious, I'll pick a color. He has like a loincloth wrap, and then behind him is robes of the same color. So his legs are all bare. And then you could come in and say, oh, he's got like wraps on his legs. He's the same silhouette and everything that says he's a low level character, but maybe this is cooler. And maybe instead of the wraparound that you have here like this, he's got like that. And it's different enough. Maybe here it's actually like bundled up and tied. So when it gets cold, he can untie his sleeves. It's different enough that it's cool, and it shows that there's like options, or we're playing with this idea that you already have. But how do we pull out more variations from it?
Right.
So I would say to pick one, and picking someone harder or picking someone easier, whatever like makes sense in your brain, and doing a variation on it. And then taking those ideas and applying them to the other steps of the level up process. Like pick oh, well, you know what? I really figure a cool idea out for D. Great. Now apply it to CBA and then apply it to E and F. But you could start with D. Or the king. The king's really fucking important. Start with the king and then apply it going down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Again, that is like more dependent on how important the characters are. Um, I think that the characters are important. I think everything's important. So like that's me. But you don't have to design it that far. So again, to reiterate, this is great. This is great. If you're happy with this, keep it. If you want more designs, go with it and play with it more. If you think that this is the best idea that you have, then like we can accept that and move on.
Oh no, I'm down to do some different designs of this
See,
for sure.
because there's no reason why this can't be over there or over here. Like we can mix and match it, and that's how we get like different silly hats on different characters and stuff. Fucking the Chinese, um, in a lot of their medieval or feudal stuff, their hats are so ridiculous. I mean, like really, really ridiculous. But like they wear them and they make it look good. So rock on. Maybe I'm just jealous of their ability to wear cool hats. Um, let's see what else we had. This mentality can be applied anywhere though. You can come up and do like this, and then have like another layer, and then another layer. Right?
Yeah,
You can,
these ones I didn't even know where to begin because I just gave myself a box, so that's not. I was just kind of like, oh, geez.
yeah. I mean,
But yeah,
just apply it the same way that we're applying again like the level up process. This is the same. This is the same thing. Level up seat. Level up seat.
yeah.
Applying the same mentality to it. This is a circle because again, it was a circle for your stuff, but there's no reason why it couldn't be I don't know, some weird shape. It's a piece of candy and then it's got stripes on it. It's a candy wrapper. No. There's no reason why it can't be a totally different shape. This is just a placeholder. How do we play with it to tie it into the rest of the scene to make it work for you? I think the most important part is your focal points in all of your scenes, which would be this, which would be, the, what's it called? Throne, the throne. The heads, a lot of the heads are upright, and that's fine. Just change that completely, though. There's no reason why the head can't have shifted and is instead on its side. How about that? And it comes out all weird, like everything's so straight up and down, and then have something like off center. That's kind of cool to me. Um, what if the head is like and there's roots coming out, elongating. Like the roots, because it's a tree, they can come like out or whatever, and like the rest are all straight, but there's like one or two that are like wild. Still showing that concept that it is a living thing off. The hanging in the pots, I don't have a problem with it. This feels cool. This is a fun. So,
As you yawn.
ugh, this is so exciting.
Dude.
Thank you.
Ninja.
Fucking excite me. Um,
Yeah, I guess this
it's
was.
alright. No, it's a cool idea, and it's been coming back since you were designing stuff in the beginning. Um, and I'm fine with that. I do think that I think so the process that I'm imagining is like, okay, so we've settled on doing something like that. I'm not saying we have. I'm saying for this example, do things like this for your throne. Do things like this shape here. Do things like this for the throne. Once we settle on that, then we could take it out and extract it out, um, and start, doing a couple front views of just the throne area. And once we've settled on, there it is, 100%. Nice job. We can take that and drop it into the scene, and then use this, like we were saying for the level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how we took 5 and then applied it to all the other ones. We can take this design and apply it to the other parts of your scene and puzzle them out as we go along. So when I was saying, like, well, we're going to work back and forth to get this figured out, I think that's kind of what I meant. So, like, you got stuck. That's totally understandable because shit's fucking not easy, right? Like, that's why it's your job, because it's not easy to do. So, like, we just need to go back, figure out our 1, 2, 3, and say, hey, I think that it makes sense to go back to the main temple area. And what did we do there? Oh, we were using a lot of these designs, the step pyramids. Look at that again and figure out how to apply more of it.
For sure, yeah.
Anything else right now?
No, man, you nailed it like always.
Oh, baby! All right, I'm gonna stop recording this here then, and I'm gonna. Thanks for checking in, watching this video, Mom. Matt, say bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Oh, stupid. All right, I'm gonna stop recording.